Welcome to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stewart Willis and Judd Carlson. They are the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Stewart, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I am fantastic as well. Always a pleasure to see you.
Same.
And you're always smiling.
I'm trying. My wife says I don't smile enough, so.
Oh, we always see you smile. Would you agree, Judd? How are you today?
I'm doing great as well. It's a pleasure to be here with you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, is he always smiling? Because I'm going to have to go with yes.
He's usually smiling when he's away from his wife, so I don't know.
Oh, no. We have live TV. We can't go back. Okay.
I mean, he's smiling at the office. I apologize.
That's amazing. Well, because you are both so passionate about what you do, and in case someone is just tuning in for the very first time and they're going to get to know you in this episode, what makes you both so special is that you genuinely care about your clients. You have a passion to help people retire comfortably, and also taking a thorough look at taxes, which is such a timely topic for right now as well. But Stewart, let me ask you, in your opinion, why is it so important for someone in the viewing audience to be working with a fiduciary such as you and Judd?
Well, first of all, it's the new standard. It's the only standard that should apply today. First of all, the first thing is to understand what is a fiduciary, right? A fiduciary is an advisor that has to put the interest of the clients first. They're not allowed to have any undisclosed conflicts of interest when it pertains to securities, and we're not allowed to receive any of those back-end commissions or kickbacks from any of the fund companies as well. That's why it's important to make sure that you're dealing with the fiduciary. Fiduciaries are kind of like the minimum requirement to do business with. If your advisor is not a fiduciary, you should really have a second thoughts about it. Just to make sure that when they're calling you, they're not just calling you to sell you something, they're calling you to actually lead you in the right direction.
Which is so important.
It's huge.
So Judd, let me ask you, why is it the fact that not everyone is a fiduciary?
Well, I mean, because a lot of it comes back to the way that people were raised or grew up around investments. And you had a lot of these big box investment houses, and they operate as what's called a broker-dealer.
Okay.
And that broker-dealer relationship means that they are an employee of that advisement company. And you'll usually notice this in the small print at the bottom of your statements. You'll see where it lists that basically, not that they're allowed to intentionally harm you, but in reality, they are to put the firm's interest first and the client second. And that's where, when you're working with independent investment advisor representative, which, as Stewart mentioned, we're Series 65 licensed. We are held to that fiduciary standard, and it means that you have to be completely transparent, again, disclose any conflicts of interest, and you have to put the client's interest first.
Okay. So, Stewart, this is very beneficial for someone when it's involving investments. Can you kind of like dive into that a little bit further? Like, why with the investment portfolio is it best to be working with a fiduciary, in case someone has questions about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, you just want to make sure that the funds you're being directed to aren't because the advisor wants to go on that trip to the Bahamas, and if they sell $10 million of it this year, that it'll lead to that, right? You want to make sure that any of those fees that, typically what we'll do is we'll see clients that'll say, oh yeah, I'm paying a 1% fee. But what they don't realize is all of the hidden fees that are inside the mutual funds that they don't get to see. Right? Like there's a local bank, and we have offices in Sun City and Scottsdale and one opening in Tempe. But what we see a lot, especially in Sun City surprise areas, there's a bank, and they have this kind of private client service, and these people believe that they have all their investments there, and they're not having to pay any fees at all. All they're doing is being put into these proprietary mutual funds that are inside the bank's parent company. It's a really expensive process, and you just remember, if you don't know how your advisor's being paid, that's a problem. Right? Everybody gets paid. You just need to know how, so you can understand the motivations. And listen, I'm not calling out brokers as anything negative. It's just the old way of doing things, and we are seeing them trying to merge over to the fiduciary world. It's just really tough to cut those kind of back-end ties with those bigger companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Judd, in your opinion, if someone is actually interviewing a financial advisor, if you will, what types of questions should they be asking that person as they're making their choice?
Well, as we just touched on right now, the first question is, are they a fiduciary? You definitely want to know that. The second thing I would ask is, where do they house the investments? You want to make sure that you've got a large custodian, so you know that if anything happens to them, even though they might be in charge of your investments, you want to know that it's still there with the custodian.
Okay.
You want to know how they get paid and where you're going to be able to see that. And then one of the biggest questions that I think people should look at too is, are they going to be there to work with you long term? Because Stewart mentioned big banks. You walk into some of these banks where they've obviously got an investment arm. You can make a deposit in your checking and savings account over here, and then over here you go and you're going to talk to the investment advisor. Well, a lot of those people, there's high-end turnover. When you meet somebody, they talk with you for a few months, maybe a year or so, and then they move on.
Sure.
And so that type of position is, again, a lot of turnover.
Okay.
So in our case, again, we have been in business 23 years now, and we plan on being around for a long, long time. So at least our clients know that as they transition into and start enjoying retirement, they're going to have the ability to continue to work with us along the way.
Absolutely. Stewart, how important is good communication between an advisor and the client?
It's absolutely, it's critical. It's absolutely critical. I mean, most of my clients actually have my cell phone number. Now, my wife gets upset when I get the 2 a.m. phone call from the client that had this major life event. But you know what? When people put their life savings with our company, I take that really, really seriously. Listen, I make a great living. And I make that great living because we take great care of our clients. And so I let people know my livelihood is depending on our success with the client. Yeah. And so it's really important to let them know that they can access me whenever they need to.
Absolutely. Well, I would love the opportunity to let the viewing audience get to know you both on a more intimate level, watching you at work day to day in your office. But before we play that special video, I would like you to tell the callers what they can expect to receive by calling in today.
Sure. If you call 833-652-7829, what we'd be glad to do is offer you a complimentary, no strings attached portfolio review. And in that portfolio review, we can tell you, is your advisor a fiduciary? What kind of back-end fees are you paying that you may not have been aware of? And if there are none, we will let you know. But if you just call 1-833-652-7829, we'd be glad to give you a second opinion. You just have to get off that couch and call the number.
Thank you, Stewart. Thank you, Judd. To the viewing audience at home, as Stewart said, get up off the couch, call the number. The number to call is 833-652-7829. We have a very special video to play. It's actually going to introduce you a little bit more in depth to Stewart and Judd. So please stay tuned, watch the video. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
What happens oftentimes is we'll run into clients or potential clients that have saved all this money, but they're 75, 80 years old. They've got this big pile of money, but they're not enjoying retirement because they're so worried about running out of money that they never actually get to enjoy their life's work. And so to me, it's really rewarding to be able to create a plan so that these people can have a great time in retirement, knowing that they're not going to run out, that they're going to be fine. I think it brings a smile to their face.
We get a lot of different people at a lot of different stages in their lives. And what we're able to do is, for some folks, it's able to tell them that you're on track. Keep doing what you're doing, and 15 years from now, you'll be retired and enjoying life the way you want it to be. For some people, it's people coming in and they're 3 to 5 years away from retirement, and you're able to tell them that, 5 years, 3 years, tomorrow, you're ready to go.
We are a complete shop. We handle estate planning, taxes, financial planning. We do a really in-depth cash flow analysis that is way more detailed than you'll see in the market.
Everything all in one spot, with the left hand always knowing what the right hand's doing. Because it's not just about the investments, but how's that going to affect your taxes? It's not where are you going to be 5 years from now, 15 years from now. And it's that back and forth full view of what the clients, not only today, but tomorrow and their legacy down the road is going to be, that really sets us apart.
And welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stewart Willis and Judd Carlson. They are the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Great first segment to the show, gentlemen, talking about the importance of being a fiduciary, of course. And I love the video, so I'm so thankful that we were able to play the video. Just watching you both in everyday life and how you interact with your clients and why they're so appreciative of all the services that you offer. So great job on the video, gentlemen. This time of the show, though, we do have some viewer questions. And as we've mentioned before in prior shows, they've been adding up through the weeks. And I know a lot of people have been very patient, hoping that we get to their questions. So I think we have time for a few right now. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Judd, I'm going to take the first one directly at you. It says, Judd, as you meet with all the prospective clients from these TV shows, what is the biggest complaint you hear about other or former advisors?
Well, I think the number one thing that we hear is going to be communication. Most of the people come to us and tell us that they either never hear from their advisor or they have to be the ones to initiate that contact with their advisor. And so as things go up and down, they feel like they've got no direction, they've got no plan. So what we tend to do, and I think Stewart's alluded to this previously on other shows, is we've designed these client events where we're going to have touches and meetings and interactions with our clients throughout the year, multiple times, when it's a non-business setting.
Okay.
And we like to do that because if something comes up, people might mention it. At the same time, when we're calling you and saying, hey, it's time to come in, there's some changes in the markets, we need to talk taxes, we're not just always reaching out to them when it's on the business side of things.
Okay.
But we design it where you've got informal times to get together multiple times throughout the year. We've got the quarterly reviews to sit down and do with everybody. And then, again, anything that comes up in their life where they might need it, they reach out to us. But that's the number one complaint that I hear is just they don't hear from their advisors or they, there's no communication.
Okay, and that would be definitely not good, especially when you are going through maybe tumultuous times like we went through with 2020 with all of the changes with COVID and what have you. You're not hearing from your advisor. That can be a very scary place to be.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely. So, Stewart, we have another question. This one's going to be directed at you. It says, Stewart, what is my total cost to work with you and where will I see this? It can't always be complimentary. That's interesting. Total cost.
Right. Well, like I said, it's super important to understand how your advisors get paid in order to understand why they're giving you the advice they're giving you. And with us as fiduciaries, all of the fees are clearly marked on your statement. So there's nothing hidden, etc. We don't receive any of those back-end compensation packages that a lot of advisors do. And so you can rest assured that what you're seeing is how we are compensated, and that's it. And when we see a lot of people that are confused about fees, they just don't believe it, right? So what we'll do sometimes, and we see it, a ton of times in mutual funds and variable annuities. In variable annuities, we're seeing 4.5% in fees, and people wonder. They've had their money in this account for the last 7 years. It just hasn't done very well. They know it's not doing as well as the market, and they wonder why. Well, sometimes they're towing this boat anchor behind them in the form of these massive hidden fees. So I think it's really, really important to find out what those fees are. And that's what we do in one of our complimentary portfolio reviews is we help uncover all of those fees.
Thank you, Stewart. Judd, this is a very good question. It actually says, Judd, why is asset preservation and tax and retirement different? How do you differentiate between other firms?
Wow, there's a couple of key points I think that we could share with that. I think the number one part is our history. Where the business came from, where it's developed from. I mean, what we've done is the company started in 1997 as a way to provide affordable estate planning to the masses. In 2005, we added the tax practice. In 2008, we added the fiduciary component. In 2013, we saw a lot of people struggling with the implications of taxes and Social Security and RMDs, so we added a very robust analysis portion that we do there. And then in 2018, we added professionals to be able to handle Medicare supplements and those questions. And then, as Stewart mentioned, we're now expanding this year. Obviously, he's brought us to TV this year. We've opened up a Scottsdale office this year, and we have another office opening up in Tempe. So when you look at our experience and how we've grown and evolved, it's given us that perfect fit to be able to customize whatever someone's needs are. And then one other point to really differentiate it is you're meeting with the owners. So not only are we very experienced, and I like to believe very good at what we do, but we own the company. So you're not going to get a higher level of service than spending time with the owners.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, Stewart, this is a great question as well. It says, Stewart, I was blessed enough to receive one of the complimentary consultations. Can you tell me what the next steps would be, and what does it feel like to become one of your clients?
Well, I think it's super important if you set a meeting to make sure we have your email address. And the reason is we send a complete letter of how to prepare for those meetings, what you need, what you absolutely need to bring, and what you should bring, right? And everybody's comfort level is different, but to really, make the most of your time. And remember, this is also your time. It's not just our time. To make the most we can of that hour that we spend together, you want to, give us as much information as you're comfortable with, so that we can really help put together a plan and let you know what we need to look at, in the future. Because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 meetings to really dive deep. If we are trying to, look at some of these variable annuity fees, for example, we may need to call the insurance company. We won't call the advisor direct and kind of bother them or, create any drama there, but we will definitely call the insurance companies to kind of find out, what the underlying costs and benefits are of what you're paying for. So, no, I think, the more they bring, the better.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, that was an excellent question. I love our viewer questions. So this is a great one, and it says, Judd, what is your opinion? I am 10 years away from retirement. What steps should I be taking today?
Well, again, whether you're 10 years, 6 years, 8 years, the first step is create a plan. Obviously, get a second opinion if you're already working with someone, or get a first-time opinion if you've never sat down and looked at it. And the reason we say that is that you want to know that whether if something unforeseen happens 5 years from now, if you've already got the plan in place, then you know what changes you might need to make. So 10 years is a great time frame where you can do Roth conversion planning. 10 years is a great time frame where you can start to pull back some of your risk, just to know that you're not going to have to work 2 more years because we have a repeat of a 2008, or you end up with a COVID drop right before your retirement. So again, 10 years is a great time to start laying that groundwork. Make sure you've got your tax plan in place, make sure you've got your estate planning done, and then know what risks and fees are inside your investments, and what you need to do to retire comfortably.
Okay, thank you so much. Stewart, is it often a shock when people realize how many hidden fees are actually within their portfolio?
Yeah, I think people sometimes have this just tremendous view. When you look at their face, they just feel disgusted, right? Because they had no idea. We kind of use the example, when we talk about some variable annuities that have 4% in fees. Just look from the peak of the market in 2000 to 2013. The S&P 500 made nothing, right? It dropped in 2000, had 5 years of up. 2008 dropped again. But it took 13 years to get back to where it was at the end of 1999. Yeah. So if that is even over that 13 years, and you had a 4% fee on top of that, you're down a little over 50% over that 13 years by paying a 4% fee. Wow. So if you had $100,000 that you started with 13 years earlier, and you matched exactly what the S&P 500 did, you could have half of what you invested years later, only because you're paying all of these fees. Wow. So like we've talked about before, everybody gets paid in this business that's in the business. And that's fair, because people have to be able to, if they're going to provide a service, they're going to get paid. You just want to make sure that you're getting something in return, and that you're not buying benefits in parts of these accounts that you're just never going to use. And the concern we have with some of these lifetime income products is that they create these irrevocable income streams that we can't plan around tax-wise, or it makes it way less efficient. So we tend to stay away from those kind of gimmicky products that, you know, sound really good on a 30-second, you know, soundbite on the radio, but really don't hold water in the real world.
Thank you, Stewart. Judd, it's about time for us to open up the phone lines to the viewing audience at home. Can you tell them what they can expect to receive by calling in today?
Yeah, absolutely. If you give us a call at 833-652-7829, we're going to be happy to personally sit down with you and give you a full portfolio review. On the investment side, that's going to include the Morningstar analysis. We're going to take a look at your taxes. We're going to look at your risk versus reward and just give you an apples to apples comparison of where you guys are at, again, compared to other risk classes. And again, there's no catch. It's complimentary. We always tell people, leave your checkbook at home, and just know that if you found some value in the half an hour you've spent with us today, or you're looking for a second opinion, just come on in. It's another hour of your time, but we can really sit down and give you some answers. So 833-652-7829, and we look forward to seeing you guys at the office.
Judd, thank you so much. Stewart, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open, and that number to call is 833-652-7829. Don't go away after this very short commercial break. I'm going to have more questions and answers with Stewart and Judd about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
This is the story of how you get from here to there. Right now you're here, but in the future, you want to be there. And from here, there looks pretty good. But so few get to there. Why? Well, of those who do make it, some will have luck, but most will have a strategy. They will save and invest, grow and protect, and they will work with advisors who will help guide their way. If you're looking to get somewhere, to get there, we know how to set a course. It's what we do, and we do it well. We're investment specialists, retirement advisors, insurance experts, and financial planners. We have innovative wealth tracking tools to monitor your progress every step of the way. Wherever you are now, we can help you get to where you want to be. The road between here to there is shorter for those who know the way.
Welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stewart Willis and Judd Carlson. They are the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Wonderful show, gentlemen. We were going to the phone lines. The phone lines were going crazy, and I love watching the phone lines light up each week because I know people are calling in. They're leaving some great questions, and I love that it's really resonating with the viewers, if you will. So, Stewart, I have a question. If someone decides to work with your firm, where is their money exactly? Where does it go?
Right. So the one thing you have to realize is that when people, use us as a service, their money isn't at asset preservation. We use some of the biggest, and in my opinion, the best custodians that are available. Our clients have their money at TD Ameritrade, just went through a merger with Charles Schwab, so it's all going to be Charles Schwab, and Fidelity Institutional. So it's either at TD Ameritrade Institutional and Charles Schwab or Fidelity Institutional if you're on the brokerage side.
Okay.
If there's any sort of insurance related stuff that we do, we use kind of best of class companies, that are out there. Companies like Allianz that are, the owners of PIMCO, the greatest bond house in the world, in my opinion. So it's really important to understand that, a lot of people are saying, hey, they want to go to a big box shop because they see, they know the company names. Those same companies are who we represent as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Excellent answer.
Yeah, except we're not beholden to them. We're, I'll call it agnostic in that way, where, we have some clients like, Fidelity, because they've had accounts there with their 401ks forever, and they realize, oh, they're with Fidelity. Yeah, we're on the Fidelity institutional side, and they're a great company. We love TD Ameritrade. They're just way easy to deal with. Okay. So, we have all of those options available.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. Judd, let me ask you, what is the importance of a third-party money manager, the value and the efficiency, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. So at our office, obviously, again, Stewart talked about the custodians, where your money's actually housed. As advisors, our job is to know our client, know what risk you're willing to take, know what your goals and dreams are, and then we work within those and we place you in an appropriate portfolio based on, again, your risk-reward scenario, and then we put that with a third-party money manager who has the ability to buy and sell on the account. Now, a lot of advisors out there don't necessarily use a third-party money manager because in the end, that third-party money manager wants to get compensated as well. So what we've done, again, the fees we charge are very clear. It's on your statement, and that one fee that gets charged, basically a portion of that comes to us, a portion goes where we hang our licenses, and then a portion goes to that third-party money manager.
Okay.
But what that allows Stewart and I to do is if we're reviewing someone's taxes or doing one of the complementary portfolio reviews and the markets are going to heck in a handbasket, if you will, you know that somebody's steering the ship, that somebody's watching the portfolios. You don't have to wait for us to get done filming the show and then go check the portfolios and start making those changes. You know that instantly, as they're rebalancing each of those risk level portfolios, your accounts would get rebalanced right along with that. And so from an efficiency standpoint, even though, again, it costs a little more money out of our pocket, we believe that it's a much better value for the clients altogether.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think oftentimes what we see is that these advisors will either be picking the stocks themselves or picking funds themselves, or they have the guy down the hall doing it. Now, I always say in business, never hire anyone you're not willing to fire. And, you know, imagine if we have the guy down the hall that's doing all of our portfolios and, you know, yes, it's less expensive for us, but we want what we perceive as the best in the world, right? We have the biggest money manager in the world overseeing some of our portfolios. We have another of the algorithm investors that's unbelievable risk management manager. It's really important to hire the best and not just the least expensive that we can deal with in-house.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it makes perfect sense when you explain it that way, because so often when people are planning for retirement, it is going to be a very customized puzzle, if you will, and basically you're putting all of the pieces together so that it matches what their dream and vision is on the box, and all of these components are so important when you're actually developing a plan. So Stewart, we have less than a minute left, but how many people today still do not have a retirement plan, if you will? Is it staggering?
Well, it's unbelievable, and it's really, really, really important to get a second opinion. The one thing that we ask you to do today is get off the couch and call. If you have more than $250,000 in assets, we would be glad to help look at your portfolio.
Absolutely. Well, I can't believe we're to the end of another amazing show, gentlemen. Thank you so much for all of your time and great information to the viewing audience today. To our viewers at home, the number to call is 833-652-7829. We know you have questions about retirement. Stewart and Judd have the answers for you. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we will see you here again next week. Thank you.